more sharply than she intended. A small, choking sob came from the back of the car. Despite her stressed state, Claire felt a stab of guilt. "I don't want Granny to die," Emma wailed. "Neither do I, Emma." Claire knew she was being blunt, but she couldn't pretend anymore, even for the sake of a 9-year-old girl. "Will Granny go to heaven?" Claire didn't answer immediately. Instead, she flicked the wipers to fast mode and peered through the sleet-splattered windscreen. The road was pitch black, her beams the only lights for miles, but she knew this route like the back of her hand. Since her mum had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, she'd travelled it often enough. The sobs in the back had dissolved to an occasional whimper. Claire felt a rush of pity for her daughter. Just because she was beside herself with worry didn't mean she had to take it out on the child. "Of course Granny will go to heaven," she relented. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." There was a contented sigh, as though a weight had been lifted from the small girl's shoulders. "Why don't you have a nap? When you wake up, we'll be home," suggested Claire. Silence descended in the back. Eventually, Claire heard the soft sounds of sleep. Relieved of the need to worry about her daughter, she concentrated on the road and the worsening weather. She turned on the radio, keeping it low. The local station was playing country music, interspersed with warnings about the wind and snow. According to the presenter, the Forth and Erskine bridges were already closed, and all ferry sailings had been cancelled until further notice. Travel was not being advised. "Too late for that now," Claire muttered to herself. As if in response, a sudden gust caught the car broadside, throwing it towards the left-hand verge. Claire yanked the wheel round, narrowly avoiding hitting a fence post. Shit! She would have to slow down, especially on the more exposed sections. When she'd regained her composure, she checked the rear-view mirror. Emma, thank God, had slept through the drama. Claire consoled herself with the thought that they would soon be off the moor and in the shelter of the woods. She could speed up then and get them home as quickly as possible. She entered the forest, the looming shadows of the trees swaying and creaking above her. Claire peered ahead, seized by a sudden fear that one of the creaking giants might come down and block the road or fall on the car. A murmur from Emma brought Claire's head round. "Okay, sweetie." She waited for an answer, suddenly craving the sound of another human voice, but Emma was fast asleep. Claire turned her attention to the rapidly whitening windscreen and tried to see through. The whirling snowflakes looked like fast-moving stars in the full beam of her headlights, so Claire dipped them. Then she saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. She slammed on the brakes and spun the wheel. Too late, she remembered that you were meant to turn into the skid. The car was in its own journey, ignoring her interference, slithering towards the steep embankment that dropped to the forest floor. For a torturous moment, the car balanced on the edge, then Claire's world turned upside down. Approaching consciousness brought a series of nightmarish images. An old woman, a sobbing child, dark shadows of trees bending and swaying above her. Then Claire's eyes flicked open, and she stared into utter darkness. She realised she had no idea where she was, or even who she was. Her head was empty of everything, except a searing red-rimmed pain. She tried to shift her body, suddenly aware that the reason she could not draw breath was because of a seatbelt biting into her chest. The seatbelt's sudden release sent her tumbling into a couple of inches of freezing water. A wave of panic hit as she imagined the car submerged and her trapped inside. There was air, but for how long? Taking a deep breath, Claire launched herself at the driver's door. Air escaped her lungs as her shoulder met the inside panel. The door groaned in its frame, but shifted only marginally. Claire waited anxiously for the sound of incoming water. When she heard none, she braced herself and tried again. This time it worked. The door jerked open, and she heard the howl of the wind and the tortured creaking of trees. Thank God. The car was upside down, but it hadn't landed in water. Claire inserted one...